Hi everybody and welcome back to Around the Craft Table with Serenity Lane Designs. Today we're making a 3D busted canvas. Okay, for today's project we're going to need an 8x10 canvas, or you could use whatever size you like. I found mine at the Dollar Tree. You're going to need some designer paper or cardstock, a piece of cardboard, ribbon, burlap, raffia, any kind of extra decorative items that you might like. And if you check the description of the video, you'll find the link for the patterns for today's project to make the pumpkins. You can download them either in an SVG file for your cutting machine, or they're also available in PDF, so you can cut them out by hand. You'll need some Mod Podge. Ink will be optional. You're going to use a paintbrush, a glue gun, and scissors and an X-Acto knife. Alright, let's get started. First thing you're going to do is measure your piece of cardboard that's going to go on the back of the canvas. You're going to want to make sure that's the same size as your canvas. Next, you're going to decide which paper you're going to want in the background of your canvas, and you're going to attach the cardboard to it and cut that out. I have to apologize. I'm not sure why, but every so often my camera goes out of focus. Okay, once you have that sized, we're going to take the canvas. You're going to want to flip it over to the inside, and you're going to measure the inside of the canvas with the other piece of paper. And you're going to cut that out so that it lays in there nice and flat. Next, we're going to take some Mod Podge and we're going to put it all over the inside. And then we're going to place our paper on top of it. Make sure that the design side is facing you. Then we're going to set that aside to dry a bit. Next, we'll play with our pumpkins. You're going to need 4 pieces of each of the pumpkins and 1 stem for each one. Now I'm going to use a little bit of ink, and you'll see that I'm using Stampin' Up! Colors, and I'm also using Stampin' Up! Paper for the pumpkins. I'm using moss green, Durango, and pumpkin pie. So first you're going to fold each of the pumpkin pieces in half, and then you're simply going to place them together with some glue or some adhesive. All 4 of them will stack on top of each other, so that when it lays flat, it looks like a 3-dimensional pumpkin. You're going to do that with both pumpkins. And you, of course, could only do 1 if you'd like. You could make more than 1 if you could get it to fit. Okay, after we have our pumpkins put together, I'm going to do a little bit of inking. This is, of course, optional, but I like to do this because it kind of adds a little bit of richness and finishes the project off nice. You're just going to take a dauber or even a sponge or a Q-tip even, put a little bit of ink on it, and you're going to just go around the edges of the stems of the pumpkins. You're just going to want to make sure that the outline is covered. There you go. Now you can see the difference in the one that has the ink on it and the one that doesn't. It just kind of finishes off the edge a little bit. So now we're going to do the other pumpkin with the Durango, Dusty Durango, I believe is the color. And if you wanted to skip this is fine. And if you don't have matching paper and ink, that's okay too. You could do a light brown around the edges. You could do a black around the edge. Even if your two oranges are different colors, it would still work fine. Same thing with the green. If you don't have the same, you could use whatever you want. You could skip it all together and not even bother with using the ink. Okay, we're going to fold down the edges of the stem and the leaves, and we're going to use a skewer, a wooden skewer, and just kind of curl the paper a little bit to make the stem the little curly Q on the stem. Give it a little bit of movement. All right. So we just want to make sure that the canvas and the Mod Podge is dried. So I just took the heat gun and dried both sides a little bit more, just to make sure that it's not too wet. And then we're just going to try to decide about where we're going to want to put our pumpkins. And then we're going to take an X-Acto knife, poke through it, and this is how we're going to make it busted. You're just going to cut some lines in it, and it's okay if it gets all ragged because it's supposed to look like it's being ripped through. So don't make them even, make some longer, some shorter. The ragged edges will make it look more authentic, like it's actually been broken. And then once you have the front done, you're going to turn it over, and using some hot glue, I'm going to put the cardboard piece on the back and be sure the blank side is facing you and the design side is going down, because that way it will come through the front. And you're just going to want to make sure that your edges are pulled out far enough. You could stick the pumpkin in to see what kind of room you've got, if you need to rip it a little further or not. Alright, and once you've got that big enough, you're going to attach your stems. You will see that mine stems were a little too long, so I adjusted them. You just have to play with it to see what you like. And once you have your pumpkins to the size and shape that you want them, you stick some glue on them and glue them down. And there you go. Now you could, of course, stop right here. This is an absolutely cute little design, but I went a little further and took some brown ink and just put it around the edges of the ripped paper and a little bit on the canvas so it wasn't quite so white. The good thing about the canvas is I took a baby wipe and wiped off some of the ink so that it wasn't white so brown. Once you have that done, you can also go ahead and embellish it. I decided to add a raffia bow. And I just stuck the bow down with a little bit of hot glue, and we're good to go. The only other thing that I did was I decided I wanted to stick some of the ripped pieces down a little bit, but the others I left popped up. So I just put a little bit of glue on behind it and stuck it down onto the canvas. It really just depends on what you want yours to look like. And there you go, a 3D busted canvas design. So thanks so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow. There's a link in the description to sign up for a mailing list for my monthly newsletter. Find out what's coming up around the craft table and what other kind of crafty things I've got up my sleeve this month. Hope to see you again next time. Thanks for stopping. Happy crafting.